Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 41. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And I just deafened Chad with the infamous clap.
He clapped like right next to my ear. It was loud.
You have really sensitive ears.
I do.
Which makes it even more funny.
Yeah. He claps like this and he's facing this way for you guys watching. And then I was like, no, I can't hear anything. And he goes, oh, well, that won't work anyway because my hands are this way and I can't see in the frames if they come together. He has to do it when they're this way so he sees when they come together. So he had to do it again anyway. He messed up the clap.
So it all sounds like I messed that up.
All I can hear is little angel singing in my ear.
It wasn't an angel. Well, I guess technically it is, but it's from the other side.
Could be.
Yeah, sure, it's an accident that I clapped that way. Was it intentionally deafing you? Of course not. Why would I do that?
Out of spite?
No.
Possibly.
Finally pay back.
Yeah.
So you wussed out on a race. I guess we should back out a little bit here. Last time we did a podcast, we were talking. I don't know if we mentioned that you were going to go racing this weekend or not, or if that came up later. But you did have an opportunity to ride co-driver with Kevin Spangler.
Yep.
And then you didn't.
I didn't. Just my back just was giving me fits, and I was telling Doug, it's like, okay, I could do it. I mean, I can tough through the race, and I wouldn't really notice it after a little bit. Adrenaline starts going, and you just kind of ignore pain for a little while. But it's that week after. That,
yeah, it really is.
I can't move. I don't want to move. It hurts to breathe.
You're a little sore after a good race. I mean, I've never been like beat up where I couldn't go to work or anything like that. But even after just a good race, I'm like, the next day I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
that's a little stiff.
So yeah,
I don't blame you one bit.
Kevin found another co-driver. I messaged him the night before and like, do you have someone else who you could use? Because the night before I was still feeling it pretty good. And I didn't know what I was going to feel like the next day. Sometimes you sleep and it's great. Sometimes you sleep and it's gotten worse. So
and not so great.
It wasn't bad the next day, but I didn't. You guys that have been around the race buggies, if you're a racer, you're just a side-by-side guy, you probably don't see this, but you don't get in and out of doors like a normal UTV.
No.
There's a space in the cage between the top of what looks like a door and the top of the roll cage, and you climb in that little spot. And some of the buggies are harder to get in and out of than others. The Razors seem to be inherently more difficult. They just are. They sit higher than the Can-Ams and all that. But
the three words you need to know are Dukes of Hazzard.
That's pretty much exactly what you do. And if you start getting in wrong, you're just better to fall out and start again. I mean, I've seen guys that have never gotten in them before, and they try and get in, and like, the best way to get in is you really do Dukes of Hazzard. You kind of sit on that top bar, put your legs in, and then hold on to the roof part and kind of lower your upper part in.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way. I saw one guy, he put one leg in the hole, then he like tucked his head down and tried to put his head and torso in.
Okay, you have to fold completely in half. You have to have your chest on your knees to do that.
He did. And he went in that way, and then by the time he gets in, his other leg is still out, so it's through the door opening. And he's in there, and he can't get turned once he's in the buggy then because most of him's in.
So tell me again, Frank, how you injured yourself this weekend.
Racing, but we never even raced. I just tried to get in, and I hurt myself.
I'm just picturing them whipping around the track, and he's still got one leg out the
hanging
window. Could you not get close to the trees on the right side, please?
The X3s that I've been in seem to be easier because they do sit lower.
Yeah.
Because all the Razors...
I would agree.
All the Razors, you have to... If they have tree kickers, most of them do if they're race buggies, you have to step up on the tree kicker, and even then it's waist higher to get into the opening. Whereas the X3s that sit lower, you can just kind of like pitch a leg on in, and it's a lot easier on most of them.
Now, I'm not a big guy, so my experience probably doesn't translate to the 200-plus pound crowd, but getting in and out of Barry Miller's was a breeze.
Yeah, Matt Hecker's was easy. I've never been in Barry's yet. Barry, you're supposed to be getting me a ride, remember? So
Guilt by association. I rode with him, and now he doesn't want anything to do with us.
yeah, I can understand that, but give me a chance. Don't base everything on Doug and his screaming like a girl while riding around or something. I don't know what he was doing. No, I'm teasing. But
I was when I was in your Razor the other day. We'll get to that. So
yes, that's the end of the episode. We'll talk about that one.
stupid. It's not really even a stupid stuff with Chad. It's just a, hey, jump in this for a second type of story.
Hey, check this out.
So this past weekend wasn't, well, actually it's ongoing today, IXCR Racing, because they do a 2-day format as well. So they're there. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon. So they're in their PM race right now.
Yeah, we're recording on a Sunday today because we're still trying to kind of get normalized from vacation bit. Because we were gone, so we recorded one basically as soon as Doug got back, and we didn't want to record another like 2 days later with no other real happenings in the UTV world. So we waited till Sunday, and we're going to record now to release.
Let's face it, this is barely interesting as it is, trying to do them back to back and come up with 2 hours of drivel.
We could do it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't doubt my skills in that area.
Challenge accepted. No, we decided not to put you guys through that. So we put it off a little bit in theory as well, because you were going to have a race experience to talk about. But we still have an experience to talk about. And actually, in a way, this is some redemption for you.
It is. I thought about this. I bet I know what you're going to say, but go right ahead.
We've joked, probably deservedly, about you being kind of a bad luck totem for UTVs, both your own and other people's that you happen to have either ridden in, touched, or merely looked at.
It has come up once or twice.
You had nothing to do with this weekend.
Nope, wasn't even there.
Other than that, it was planned for you to be there, but you backed out. So karma should be, giving you props for that. And yet, despite your complete lack of involvement, Kevin Spangler has some rather expensive damage to cope with.
He made inside bits, outside bits.
So you'll remember from podcasts of yore, we had a race at Parker's Paradise last year where we blew out a front axle, and the axle lolled around and broke off the brake caliper, which then ripped the brake line and took out the brakes. But really, the parts total for that was an axle and a caliper and a few. I mean, it really wasn't that
brake
expensive.
line, yeah, some stuff like that.
A few $100s worth of parts. Something's kind of similar happened to Kevin,
but it's worse.
I'll let you give him the lowdown.
So instead of breaking an axle, he broke the rear drive shaft portion. And what happened is, I don't know if the yoke itself broke or if the universal joint in the rear broke. But when it broke, that axle was just a flail going around inside there. And that's right next to the motor. So he ended up breaking he dinged up the CVT really bad. Doesn't really think it's going to save. And he broke the engine case. So the motor case is no good. I think he broke the transmission case also. And the CVT and the drive shaft. There's thousands of dollars in parts there.
Now, wait a minute. I've just seen some commercials for JB Weld. They've got new ones out with the guy who played Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Evidently, you can use JB Weld to fix anything. They show it in the commercials.
You say you can. But
You're going to need like a 5-gallon pail of it for this one.
Yeah, and then you have to machine it afterwards.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work out so well. But Kevin, sorry about your luck there, man. We know you're just trying to finish the race, because honestly, he broke and he stopped and then thought, if I can just get it around the last, because he was on the last lap.
He was on the last lap.
If I can just get it around and take the checker.
Yeah. Didn't work, though.
Did he even get around?
I don't think he did.
Okay.
I don't think he did.
I didn't think he did either from what I read, but...
Yeah. It was a rough one. He sent me pictures at first, and all I could really see from the picture, because obviously it's a race and the machine was muddy and everything else, so all I could see was he broke a drive shaft, and I thought, well, that's bad, but, drive shaft.
Which kind of begs an interesting question. If you have breakage like that, and we had a lot of breakage last year.
Got really good at knowing what that feels like this.
When do you stop?
When do you stop? That's a great question.
Because in this case, it probably ended up costing Kevin quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think we made some good decisions last year. I think I'm going to answer part of my own question here.
Okay, you go first, and then I'll answer.
It depends on the track. Because if it's a really relatively easy track, and even if you could limp at low speed or stop and doctor something up and just get around, that's one thing. But one part of the answer to this is knowing the track. If you've been around 2 or 3 times and you know we broke here and a quarter mile or a half mile up the track is pro hill with a bypass that is almost as bad, don't go looking for trouble if you broke down in a relatively nice, easy spot. Even if you could get through even another mile, who cares?
Yeah.
If you're broken in an easily accessible spot or you can limp a very short distance to an easily accessible spot, just stop.
Yeah. So I'll put it this way. I'll say the same thing. It depends, but it depends on my position in the race, where I stand in points, what kind of breakage it is, and also the track. And I'll clarify by bringing up I believe it was round 3 last year.
Sure.
Where we, miracle upon miracles, we bent a tie rod, but we bent it.
The first of many.
Yeah.
We need to make a trophy for whoever has the worst breakage this year. Kevin, you're in the front running.
Yeah, so far
we should make a bent tie rod trophy.
I got some out my garage still.
For everybody we know who races. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. If you've raced and you've got carnage to show, send it to us. Post it on our Facebook page. Email it to us. However you want to get that to us. And we're going to make a carnage trophy for the winner this year.
Sounds good to me.
You get something out of it.
So anyway, and this is one of the few that we actually released a ride video of our race.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So it's the one where there was a muddy hill, and when we got to it, we were in first place in the light class, but there was a pile of 1000s and turbos on this hill. Do you remember this one?
I do.
So we attempt this hill, no chance in the world we're going to make it up. So we basically took a right and went on the bike path, which wasn't even near wide enough for us, and around and went that way. And on the next lap, we came down hard on a little log jump thing, and we bent a tie rod. We kind of landed funny, and it was what it was. So we get... And I told Doug at the time, and we're talking about it the whole time, but I said, it's not driving right. I can still make turns, though. And as we kept going, it's like it's getting worse. I can't steer. I can't make these corners. We're having to back up.
Every time we hit a bump, it just folded it into a little bit more of a U shape.
Yeah.
And it kept pulling that wheel out further and further.
So where we finally decided to stop was we were at the top of a hill getting ready to go down, because when we got to the bottom of this hill, now it was probably a half mile from where we were, but as we weaved through, if we got to the bottom, we wouldn't get out unless we got drug out, because at the bottom was that same stupid hill.
And you know you're going to be waiting if you're in a bad spot. You're going to be waiting
hours,
for hours in the woods.
So we were in first when that hill thing happened, when we were locked up behind all the 1000s and whatnot. We came out of it first. We came out in first because we were the fastest through there when we were in first. So we were in first, but we got past once we bent the tie rod because I couldn't make corners anymore. And not at any speed. I had to back up on several of them. So my calculations were, we're in first. We've been passed. We already know they're running faster than I could even possibly run. It's getting worse, so I'm factoring the damage plus our position at this point, and then I'm looking at the track saying, I know it's coming up, and I know we're not going to make it up that.
Yeah.
So at that point, that's when I pulled the plug. And I don't like to quit on things, but...
No, but it made sense. And one point you made about it depends on where you are in points, I think that's one of the things you need to factor in is, okay, if you pull out, you're not going to get as many points, but if you have been doing fairly well throughout the season and you're in contention, my contention is that you are still better off to, okay, I can't drive this thing, I can't compete. Chances are I'm going to damage it worse if I keep going.
Right.
Because if you take yourself out of next race or the next race or wherever down the line you run out of money because you've really beat this machine up, Yeah, I still think you're better off just to make the smart decision. Go, you know what? We'll get him next weekend. Anything can happen. The guy you're chasing that now moved ahead of you in points could break down. You really don't know the future. You're still better off to try and keep that machine together, minimize your damage, put it back together, and get back on the track. Because if you end up blowing it up, you might miss the next race entirely. Or like I said, you may put yourself in a position where the last 2-3 races of the year
You can't make.
You don't have money.
Yeah. Well, and our series, Midwest cross country, they allow 2 drops per year per class. So if you've already taken your 2 drops, you can't use that. But that does factor into my decision making also when I was doing.
And you only get 1 drop for overall.
For overall, yes.
So if you're in real contention, you get 1 drop. And last year there were 0. They actually changed the rules this year because it is kind of unfair to not give anybody any drops at all because there's too many things that can happen in a season.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you haven't used your drops in your mind, if it's a race that you're beaten, the machine's wounded and everything else, you say, okay, I haven't taken any drops. I'm just going to count this as one of my drops. And, you save your season if that's the only one, or if you need to take one more, or whatever your series allows. So there's some calculations that need to be made while you're racing on the track that don't have anything to do with the race itself, really. So, yeah, it's one of those things, but...
Calculated risk. It just was kind of an interesting question that occurred to me as we were talking about the breakage there.
Well, and we'd talked about the different styles of driving, too. The guys that are... And Kevin Spangler isn't what I would call a super aggressive driver. He's a smart driver. He tends to drive a little more on the smart side than just all out, all it'll go all the time.
Yeah, kind of similar in style to Steve Mueller, who has not been on the podium at MWXC, but he's in lead for points.
Yeah.
I mean, consistency being the key there.
Yeah. He
finishes.
He consistently finishes. Whereas you get other guys that just run as fast as that thing will go all the time, and you break more often.
Like your Kyle Cheneys.
Yeah.
So they're kind of the big risk, big reward style driver.
Either you're going to win first and you're going to win by a lot, or you're going to load it in the trailer early.
Happen.
Yeah. So
there's a couple different ways to look at that, but kind of an interesting race-related question. And, really there's no right answer because no matter how smart a decision it appeared we made, there's always that, maybe we should have done this, though.
Yeah.
You can always second-guess yourself to death.
You can, and that's what'll gnaw at you the next, week or month or season.
So the real plan is just don't break.
Don't break.
At all. Ever.
Well, and that's one of the things that... So I heard several people. I guess Mike Plank broke. He didn't get to finish. I think Barry broke.
That is that very rare day.
Yeah. Barry Miller, I think he broke, and he didn't finish.
He didn't finish either. Yep.
So side-by-side racing, man, it's got a high attrition rate.
It really does, because you can watch a race with 150 quads, and 10 or 15 will break on an average day. And, if it's a really bad day, just a big mud fest or something where you're really stressing them out, you might have 30 to 40 of them if it's just a really bad day out of 150.
Right.
UTVs, if you've got 30 on the line, an average day says only 20 will finish.
Oh, I wouldn't even say that many normally.
Yeah.
I would say your average is 50% loss rate on them. And,
I don't know if it's quite that bad, but it's probably close.
I mean, you think about, okay, I'm talking about the pro row or the big high horsepower machines, because you'll get into trouble quicker with those than you will the 800s.
True.
So, and there's always more of them anyway. So if you have 20 on your front row on average normally, and this has been some slick races and stuff, you might have 8 or 10 finish. You might.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's 5 or 6 finish, and that's about it. It's just hard. People think, oh, yeah, we've talked about this many times, but you think, oh, I can go out in the woods and I can ride fast. Do it for an hour and don't make any mistakes.
And if you're somebody like Steve Mueller coming up, he's got basically 6 weekends in a row coming up here pretty shortly.
Yeah, I think it starts this next weekend for him with the MWXC race. 6 weeks, 6 straight races every weekend.
That's really, really tough. I mean, I'm just curious to see how it plays out.
And the rough thing is one of them in there is the Heartland Challenge, which is a 4-hour race.
And you're part of the team for that. So I guess we've disproved the Chad's bad luck theory, but I'm still holding that it might be partially true.
Could be true. Yeah.
But you are on his team, correct?
I am on his team.
So are you going to be driving at all?
It's very possible I could be. We don't know yet. We'll just see. We're going to play it by ear.
Feel it out?
Yeah.
4 hours is a long time to drive a UTV.
4 hours is a long time to sit in a UTV.
Yes, it is.
At race pace. It's a lot. Water. Just being able to keep enough water in yourself during that time, that's tough.
Thinking about some sort of hydration bit for you?
Yeah.
Camelback or something like that?
Steve had a Camelback in it last year. He said after like an hour, he said it was hot water. You just couldn't drink it anymore. It was just miserable.
Oh, yeah. I think kind of rewinds to us talking about the razors packing the heat in.
Well, any of them really. But
yeah.
Yeah, he had it strapped to the roof because he thought, it'll get it up above where the air moves.
Sure.
And it's a night race. I mean, it starts in the evening and goes into the nighttime.
It's still got that warm up there.
Yep.
Wow.
People think, oh, yeah, it's just climbing in my buggy. You're in fire suits, you're in helmets, you're in gloves, you're in boots or, some sort of race shoe. And a lot of times you're wearing a neck brace. So you really have no exposed skin to cool you off.
You're just sitting there in a puddle.
You're in a machine that, the radiator is, 6 inches from the back of your head, and it's at 190 degrees, and razors are notorious for it, but they're just billowing heat from behind you, just pushing it up under your feet.
Yeah. That's one thing I did notice when I raced in that X3. A lot cooler in there.
Yeah. They tend to be. So
yeah, that's going to be, that's part of the challenge part of Heartland Challenge. I am planning on going. It's going to be a tight series for me because basically I have a race the prior weekend.
Yeah.
And then I have Heartland Challenge. So the race would be Saturday, Sunday. Heartland Challenge would be travel on Thursday, race on Friday, travel back Saturday, home on Sunday, and then I've got a business trip for it's basically a national conference I'm supposed to go to in Phoenix the rest of the next week.
You're fine.
I was going to say, technically all the timing works out fine, so I'm at this point planning on making that happening. So I won't be an official part of any team, but that may be good anyways because I might be able to do some other fun stuff for EP while I'm not really tied down.
Yeah,
I'm going to take my junk with me. I mean, you never know when somebody's be like, dude, we need a co-driver.
Yeah. Because,
Or if they're really dumb, we need a driver.
Up until, Heartland Challenge, you sign up in teams of 3. So, I don't know if you can have a separate pit crew type thing or not. I don't know if that part of that 3 is your pit crew. I don't know how that works.
I didn't think so, but I could be wrong.
Anyway, that's beside the point. But the 3 on your team are the only ones who can drive or ride.
Right.
So it's going to be in there for a while. Just strapped in and along for the ride.
I'll throw water at you when you come by.
Hope I don't get sick. Dude, that would be miserable.
No Hardee's before.
No, I will not be eating Hardee's chicken strips.
I'm going to bring you some.
I'm going to throw them at your face.
No, I was only thinking of you. Just trying to help.
Last year, Steve said his co-driver, Brian, it's Steve, Brian, and myself are on Steve's team this year. He's the one who got sick, and he was thrown up in his helmet, and that'd just be miserable.
Yours was a freak thing.
Yeah.
But, honestly, I think concentration helps with that. When I'm in a race, I'm concentrating.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick lines. I'm looking around, and I think that helps. I think some people his co-driver is kind of new to the sport, not super, experienced.
Right.
I think sometimes you just get kind of in the along for the ride mentality.
Yeah.
And if you're just sitting there and you don't have a job, I could see how you'd be more prone towards that.
Well,
I'm not a real car sick type of person, so I wouldn't think that I would either. But you know what I mean? When you've got to focus on something like you were doing the co-driver job,
yeah,
I think it helps ward off some of that.
Oh, I fully agree. But the problem is when I got started feeling sick. I didn't actually throw up or like get sick.
You can't concentrate anymore.
Yeah, your concentration starts going out the window, and everything that Steve was needing me to do was not looking up, and it was looking down inside the machine while I'm being flung around. So my inner ear and everything is telling me I'm being jostled.
Your eyes are like, no, you're not.
Yeah, my eyes are telling me something different, and I already wasn't feeling well, and it was, and it was hot, and it was just all around bad.
That was just a freak thing, I think, because I've never in 20 years known you to be a motion sick prone type of person.
No, I'm not.
So we've got another update on the Acre Shaker. We talked last time about new radius rods and new arms, and we just published a little bit of a teaser today about the install video
that Doug did. I love it. I've watched it probably a dozen times.
So if you go to our Facebook page, we recorded a couple extra bits, and I just decided to go full like late 80s, early 90s, really bad commercial with it.
I love the cheesy smile you give in there and everything. I was like, that's great.
So sometimes late at night, I was editing that between like midnight and 1 in the morning. Bad ideas happen and videos are produced, and we post them anyways.
Yeah, so go check that out. It's funny.
The real one's going to come out tomorrow, actually before this podcast even launches. So if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the real install video, you can head over to our YouTube page or our Facebook page and find that. It's about 7 minutes long. It's not real long, but it gives you the high points. I mean, radius rods are, nut and bolt on each end.
Yeah.
The front lower control arms are, nut and bolt on one end and 2 up at the top. I mean, there's not much to them. If you took the old ones off, you could probably figure out how the new ones go in.
Yeah.
But there are a couple things you want to watch out for, and that's really what we do, is kind of point out the strengths of these, why you would want them, and just kind of the couple little details that'll
make your install easier.
Make your life easier, exactly. Yeah. So those are on. You've got your tuned ECU in there.
Yep.
So that kind of segues into my earlier story before we get to the rest of the stuff and how that worked out for you. So I'm here the other night it was Friday evening.
Yeah.
And I was pulling a lower control arm bolt out of an old wreck of a truck here because I needed one for my wife's expedition.
Yep.
Because I had a stuck bolt, and the Sawzall torch took care of that.
Yes.
So pulled the bolt out, and you came over to see what was going on and give me a hand with it, and brought the razor over. And so we got done. You said, hey, jump in. You haven't seen this thing with the new ECU yet.
Uh-huh.
So I jump in. Of course, I don't think about it. It's a side-by-side. I'm going to get in it. And as you drop
the first thing I said?
And as you drop it into drive, you said, by the way, I don't have seatbelts back in this thing yet because I'm changing harnesses out. And off we go.
Hey, check out how fast this thing is. And there's no seatbelts, by the way. So
no safety gear whatsoever. Whee!
There's still a roll cage on it.
The roll was the part I was worried about. I was staying in the seatbelt bit, though.
So
I was picturing myself like ragdolling out the window if things got really bad.
So
my favorite part was the jump where I found your roof.
Yeah, I hit the jump. I probably shouldn't have, but
it was fun.
Funny.
It was fun.
So the reason I don't have belts, I actually bought Click 6 harnesses.
You're not a fan.
Not a fan.
I didn't get to sit in them, but you're the one that's got to live with this thing, so I trust your decision.
So I know I am the extreme oddity on this one. I know this, and I'm okay with that, but I'm going to buy what I like. So,
not just on this one.
No. So I bought the Click 6s because everyone spoke really highly of them. Got them all put in, both sides. Put seat back in, sat down, buckled it. It's like, I don't like this. I don't like these one bit. I'll explain why in a second. Adjusted them to try and okay, maybe I just don't have it set quite right, because some things can be uncomfortable if they're not adjusted right. Adjusted it, don't like them.
Just not for you, huh?
I'll tell you what I didn't like. The lap belt, it's all connected, left and right side, but the lap belt where it comes from, basically the angle point in your seat where a normal seat belt attaches, that's fine. No issue with that. Then it's got ones that go down and attach right at the base of the front of your seat. It's to hold your legs in. My legs have never mystically floated outside of the side-by-side.
No.
So it limits your leg movement. You can't move your leg to brace. You can't reposition your leg if you're on a long ride to get more comfortable.
I would hate that.
So it's holding your legs together and down. They're basically all but pinned down. You can move them like slightly more together if you want, but it's pinned them in and down.
But if you're in something like we were just talking about the Heartland Challenge, 4 hours of that.
Of having your legs pinned down. And then to add to that, so the tops, for guys that don't know what the Click 6s are, the top it's a harness, but it's on retractors, like a normal car-style seatbelt, but it's a harness over each shoulder instead of a single, like a 3-point that would come over one shoulder. I don't like that they drag the cage, and they drag all cages. It's not the CW Motorsports one. Those are mounted at the same height. It drags the belts, drag the cage the whole time. I just don't like that you can't cinch yourself down. So it's like my top half is moving. The midsection where the belt connects is fine. My legs are pinned in. It's just like a combination of all things. It's restraining me yet not holding me.
Yeah.
And I just don't like it.
I really did like the ones we had in the CF Moto last year for racing.
They're coming.
They were solid. I mean, they were your basic 5-point harness, and having ridden in a couple race buggies that only have 4-point, they don't have the submarine strap.
That 5th point is a miracle.
Oh my word, that is just absolutely life-changing.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would not want one. I mean, to each their own, we've proven that, but I would not want to race without one. I could see maybe just trail riding.
I like it better for trail riding because it holds it down, because the problem I would get into, so we're talking about the Pro Armors, or the ones that I had in the old machine and what I have coming. And the reason I like them, along with some others, like the PRPs have it and the Beards, but it's got a sternum strap where it holds the shoulder belts together so that they don't want to slide off of you or unposition themselves. Is that a word? Misposition? I don't know. They don't move around. It stays right where you
I like
put
unposition.
Unposition? Yeah, I'm going to go with that. So anyway, but the problem is without the 5th point, the belt would ride up, and that sternum strap would actually ride up and get up near my throat. Get up in that way. With that submarine strap, the 5th point holds it down, holds the lap belt exactly where it needs to be, holds the sternum strap right where it should be, and it really lets you just cinch yourself in.
I think you and I are basically fans of the same thing. Once you're in, you're in. Like, that's the position you want to be in. You don't want things shifting. You don't want things moving. And they do a very good job of that. It's basically the same fit on the first lap as the last.
Yep. And they have a really good quick release system. I mean, so do the Beards, so do the PRPs. They're all exactly the same. I just happen to be a fan of the Pro Armors because they have little pockets in the straps that you can put things. It's just, I can slide my cell phone in it if I'm, just riding or something. It's just convenient for stuff like that. But yeah, it's just you grab the little red piece of seatbelt material, and it's the only red thing on the whole thing. So you grab it and you give it a tug, and they'll just shoot apart, and you're out. So I'm a fan of the Pro Armor ones. I'm not a fan of Click 6.
Except for when you've been in a mud race and nothing is red. Everything is brown.
Yeah, well, you can still find it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
you
right
know
there.
where it is.
I'm just saying it's different color and everything else. So.
And you shouldn't be in a buggy that you're completely unfamiliar with. I mean, even when I've raced in buggies that I've never sat in, I spend a couple minutes just, okay, this is how this works. This is how I would get out of it. This is how I would get the window net down. Like, just make a mental checklist.
Yep.
It only takes a couple seconds to do. May save you a lot of grief down the road.
First time before I raced with Steve, he came out here and we did some testing. And literally the first 30 minutes was, okay, this button does this button does this button does this. And, here's how his intercom goes. Here's how his window nets work. Good. And then when I raced with him the next day, it was literally, okay, I had the music on before we hit the first corner because I had taken the time to learn what I need to learn to do my job.
And one of the most important and probably overlooked things if you're a co-driver is familiarize yourself with where the fire extinguisher is and how it dismounts, because a lot of people have different mounting schemes. So make sure you know how to get it off if you need it.
Yeah.
And please don't use like giant HVAC zip ties to tie it to the cage or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be bad. I mean, it's one of the other things Steve has in there, and we went over it, and I'm glad we did. is a power steering reset. Basically, it kills the power to his power steering unit so it can reset itself, and when it comes back on. We needed it.
Yeah.
I mean, had I not known, that would have been bad. Then he has to stop focusing on driving and mess with it.
True. So the other thing you stuffed in there that you didn't like, we mentioned you had a Bikeman Performance clutch kit on the way. Mm-hmm. And again, not a fan, huh?
Not a fan. I'm going to call him. We'll see if we can sort it out. I lost 4 miles an hour on the top end, and it doesn't accelerate as hard.
So, like you said, maybe there's some adjustment. Maybe there's some stuff to be done. We're not going to call this a final review, but initial impression was...
Something's not right.
Yeah.
I mean...
It does grab the belt tighter, which is what you were looking for with the extra power, but
I don't want to give up. And the direction, they're the sales brochure / directions, whatever, even say, you should see more on the top end. It says you should touch 90 mile an hour, which great, but I went from 84 to 80.
Yeah.
And
to, that would almost be acceptable, but to lose the launch is really,
I lost
that's
some
pretty
on the
bad.
bottom end, and I'm not a fan right now. I don't know. I have the weight set to what they suggest. My RPMs are right in the wheelhouse of where they say they should be at the different miles per hour. I mean, according to what I see, I've done everything right.
We'll just see how it goes. We'll report back with you guys probably next podcast because I'm sure you'll hear from them this week and see if we can make any adjustments that make sense.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a little bit of time, but maybe we learned something valuable we can pass along to you guys. And the blow-off valve went well, so
yeah, it's doing fine.
So you're batting about 500 on this stuff.
I got cable clamps.
Maybe those were for the clutch. Maybe
No.
that's a pre-runner.
Those came from a different company.
Oh, okay.
So,
So one last little race bit. What were we going to talk about here? Was it the Lucas Oil
we can.
short course? There you go. Let's do that.
Lucas Oil short course. Man, I really do like this series. I wish they'd televise more of it. It's kind of only on... They'll show repeats of it like a week or so after.
It's hard to find, but man, it's great.
I
love it.
I would love to try it, but like I've stated before, it really takes a machine that's built for that kind of thing. You're not really going to race a woods machine out there on that.
No, but I have to admit, if I had a choice of wood racing or the short course, like if I was buying a machine right now to build it to go racing, I'd do the short course.
I would too.
I really like it.
I completely would. You're not...
It's not too late.
I know. But not right now. Shh, my wife's here.
Oh, that's right.
There's no trees to hit. They kind of make sure the course is good. Now that you're going to get mud and you're going to get stuff like that if there's adverse weather. That's unstoppable. But it's not. It's too narrow to fit the machine through, and there's not problems like that. So I would love to try it. I would love to go catch one, but so far there's been one Minnesota and Missouri, and they're just not real close.
Yeah, they're not coming close to us. Close as in, I mean, it'd be a healthy weekend of driving just to go, like literally drive, catch a race, catch some sleep, and then spend an entire day driving back.
Yeah.
Which
not worth it right now.
No.
Too many other things going on.
Well, I've got a new game for you.
You do. I hear this.
I do.
So I have your trivia also.
We should be okay.
Okay, which one would you like to do first?
Well, people are used to the trivia. We'll let them do this new thing. And this is not going to be probably a repeated thing. I just had an idea of, I'm going to do something for Chad.
Or something to Chad. That's kind of what I'm...
No. It's nothing like that. I'm not going to make you listen to Britney Spears songs and identify them or something like that.
I wouldn't.
But there is an audio component. You are going to have to use your finely trained dog ears.
So we'll see how this does.
So you've got your headphones there. Yep.
And Doug's going to...
I'm going to grab mine just to make sure it works as expected.
He's going to put something in my ears. I don't know if this is my left or right one. That's right.
I don't know that it matters too much.
Well, no, I mean just how they fit.
Yep. There. Good to go?
I think I can hear you.
Can you hear me? These are going to be louder than my voice, probably. So I think you'll be okay.
So you guys should be able to hear these also, kind of how we've set it
Well, that'd
up.
be really ridiculously boring, wouldn't it?
I'm just sitting here like...
And then you're giving answers. So here's the game. I have recorded 10 different motor sounds. They are not necessarily all from the same genre of vehicle.
Okay. Are these... so they could be off-road, they could be on-road, they could be anything.
Could be an M1 Abrams tank.
Okay.
There aren't any on here because I just told you that.
Okay. Darn, that was my first guess. Wait, hold on.
Yes.
That's a Prius. He hasn't played anything. That's a joke.
What's this sound?
It's a Prius. Tesla.
Okay, we're going to start off. I'm not going to say some of these are hard, some of these are easy. I think these are all pretty recognizable. And if this goes really well and you do really well, then maybe I'll do this again.
I'll probably bomb it
with harder ones. But we're going to have some fun here.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with one you should get, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right, here's the first one.
That's a Polaris Razor. Yeah, that's a Razor. That's a turbo even. I think I hear the turbo in there.
Okay, so being a turbo, it's a 1000. That's kind of what I was looking for.
Okay. I couldn't tell if there's a turbo in there. It was a little quiet. Was it quiet to you?
A little bit, but some of these are louder than others, so I don't know that you want to
Okay, I'm not going to bump it then.
Yeah.
Doug's going to make me go deaf if I turn that up, is what he's telling me.
Yeah. Okay, you got that. So what is this one then?
Is that a Honda 450?
No, sir.
No? Play it again for me real quick.
See, this is fun because the listeners at home get to play along.
I don't know. It's definitely an off-road something, though. What is it?
That's a Razor 800.
Is it?
Yep.
It revs pretty quick for an 800.
What's in neutral?
Well, I mean, but it comes back down.
But he's not really getting on it. He's just kind of
yeah, that's a half throttle.
Blip. He's not getting on it.
Okay.
I tried to give you ones where there's a little bit of rev noise in him, where it wasn't just something idling, because that would have made it a lot harder.
Yeah.
Hearing the rev kind of.
See, I've been around some 800s, but I've never owned one and haven't spent any real time in one either.
Like you always tell me with trivia. Summer hard.
Easy, summer hard.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, let's do something a little different.
Did I have one of those?
You did.
I did. That's an FZ1.
Well done, sir.
A Yamaha FZ1 was.
I threw that in just for you.
Play it one more time, and I might be able to tell you something else. That had to be one of the first gen ones, I think.
04.
The carbureted, yep. Up to 07, I think. Yeah, 07. And then they went to fuel injection.
There you go. I threw some stuff in here. I'm like, if he doesn't get this, I will laugh at him. And if he does, it just looks like I was being nice and playing fair.
I hope that was like one of the being nice ones.
Moving on. What is this? That's a louder one.
That X3?
It's an X3.
Yep.
The dead giveaway is the turbo.
Yeah, those turbos chop that air. Well, they chop it a bunch.
Yeah. They chop it, but you can also hear the turbo whistle in there.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. I was curious because, I'll tell you why later.
Okay.
Let's do another one here. This one's a little more yesteryear.
Is it recorded underwater? Is that a 454 Chevy?
Close. Think smaller.
Is it 383 or 350?
Yeah, 350.
Okay.
72 Chevelle with a 350 in it.
It didn't sound like it had the lope of a 383.
Yeah.
It sounded like a Chevy motor.
Yep.
I couldn't tell. That recording quality wasn't the greatest, was it? It's like, was it recorded underwater?
Well, he had dual 2.5-inch all the way back.
Okay.
So it had that kind of just burbly, you know.
That's what I couldn't tell at first, if it was a bad recording or if
No, it's actually a good recording of
Okay.
a very just kind of wide open sounding exhaust.
Fair enough.
I tried to find ones that were relatively stock, but completely stock ones are boring.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, you got that. Let's go here.
Is that a Banshee?
It's a Banshee.
Yeah.
Good job. It's one of your brother's chainsaws.
No, the saws don't rev like that.
Nope, that was a Banshee
Yeah.
with a relatively tame exhaust on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not and that wasn't an overly built motor either. It didn't
No.
sound like.
No, not that one. It's a nicer looking machine than running, I would wager.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many more do we have?
There's like 3 or 4 more.
Okay.
I think I did 10 total.
Okay.
Alrighty, let's do this. Now that one's got a little bit of a cam in it. It was hard to find a good representative sample of this, believe it or not.
I'm wanting to say it's a 5.0 Mustang.
I'm going to give it to you. It's a 5.0 F-150.
Okay.
I think it was a 96 F-150.
Yeah.
And he had
He had a
pretty good cam in it.
Yeah, you can hear when you said it had a cam, at first I was like, maybe it's a big block, but it sounds a little too snappy to be the big block. And then when you said it had a cam, I'm like, it's got to be the 5.0. And it's got a 5.0. And when you said cam, I'm like, that explains the lope.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't have given you that, but yeah, it's funny because you can tell the Fords versus the Chevys. They definitely have a different, tenor to them. All right, let's go ahead and do this one.
Is that a Kawasaki motor?
Is it?
It sounds like it. I'm going to say it sounds like a Z1000, but I don't know.
That is a Yamaha YXZ.
Okay. Yeah. The Kawasaki's tend to have a little bit more of that snappy bite to the sound, and it sounded like it. So, got it wrong.
Nope.
Completely wrong.
YXZ. Okay, we got 2 more.
That's a pretty tame whatever it is.
Yep, that's why I picked it.
Play it one again for me, please. I want to say it's like the Honda Rancher or something.
It's a Honda.
Is it? I don't know.
That is a basically bone stock 400EX.
Okay.
No one knows what they sound like.
No, because no one leaves the stock pipes on them.
Because they're all just brat, you know. No, that's it. That's basically what kind of a more tame stock 400EX sounds like if you never remember the sound, because
they're never left that way.
When did they stop making those? 2010 or 11?
Was it that late?
Well, they started a new model in 05 and it
Yeah.
ran till at least 09, if not a little bit later. But yeah, the newest one out there is probably 9 years old now. And so there's no
stock ones
stock
left.
surviving ones. So I kind of picked that one to literally be a little jerky about it. Okay.
I got the brand.
We got one last one here.
Okay. One more time for me, please. Man, it's got an exhaust on it, whatever it is, but it's definitely a later model motor. I'm wanting to say it's the new Camaros, but I don't think it is.
No.
Is it the Dodge?
Nope.
No, I don't know. Mustangs?
That's a 2015 F-150 5.0
Oh, yeah?
with a Flowmaster on it.
Okay. It sounded good. I couldn't tell. You could tell it had an exhaust, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah. No, I threw that one in because you own a
I do own a 5.0.
a 5.0 Ford.
But mine is stock exhaust. I put a bunch of miles on my truck. I've had it for like 9 months, and I think I put 36,000 miles on that thing in that time.
Yeah, you have.
I drive a lot.
So what do you think?
My wife is texting me because she's in the other room, but she can hear, and she says, "More useless knowledge you have." Thank you, dear.
So there you go. Something a little different, a little fun for, the listeners and everyone else because they get to play along.
Yep. So,
You've got a good ear for that stuff. I mean, I do too, just because we're both interested in motors and, what people have done to them. But I thought it might be kind of fun to do a blind, like, what is this?
I didn't do half bad.
No, I think you pretty much got like 6 out of 10 unassisted. I think you might have gotten 7 or 8 of them with a little prodding.
Yeah.
There's only a couple you just threw up your hands.
Yeah, there's a couple I
The 400 was kind of a jerky thing to do because there are no stock 400s.
There's no stock ones. The Ford F-150, if it would have been a stock one, a stock exhaust, I could have probably told you because I know what mine sounds like. But
I did find a video, but man, it was so boring. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it does make me want to put one on yours when you're not looking.
I'd
leave
leave
for a
it.
weekend.
I'd leave it. All right, you ready for your trivia?
Let's do it.
Okay, Steve wrote in the first 3 for you. So those are from him. You can yell at him if you don't like them.
Oh, boy.
Okay, question number 1. The U.S. military has a secret Velcro. That's not the question. That's a statement. What is special about it?
Secret Velcro.
It's secret Velcro.
Space germs.
Space Velcro.
It doesn't make a loud tearing noise when you open it?
I'll give that to you. It is 95% quieter when taking it apart.
You imagine a Navy SEAL like out in the middle of nowhere. He's crawling up in this enemy position and he goes to pull his knife out and it's like...
As he's getting like sneak up to stab him and it's...
Did you hear something?
That stuff is the loudest. No, it is 95% quieter than normal Velcro.
Nice.
So that'd be neat. I would like to see that. Just to,
Absolutely.
I might have to do like a YouTube video. Just secret Velcro versus normal Velcro.
Secret Velcro and space germs.
Okay, question number 2. After the 1986 movie Top Gun, this is still from Steve. What increased by 500%? It has to deal with the movie, obviously.
Enrollment in Naval Flight School?
I'll give you that
Or the
one.
Naval... Well, you have to be an officer to fly, so like the officer program, I don't know.
Yes,
Something
the
along
number
those
of men wanting to be naval aviators.
There you go.
I'll give you that. I mean, that's why they
what
signed up.
Yeah, that's what I was drilling at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
You know they're making a new one, right?
I do.
I don't think the beach volleyball scene with Val Kilmer is going to be quite the same.
As he's got a beer gut and everything else. No, probably not.
I don't think that's going to be happening.
No. Question number 3. Last one from Steve. What airplane uses the aerodynamics discovered while researching the Bumblebee?
Probably like the A-10 Warthog.
No, the F-117 fighter.
Really?
F-117.
I never thought of... I was thinking of a big, clunky, ugly plane because like the Warthog doesn't look like it should fly. Kind of like a Bumblebee doesn't look like it should fly.
I heard a guy say about helicopters the other day, not planes, obviously, but he says helicopters don't fly. They're just so ugly the earth rejects them.
That makes sense.
Sorry, Steve. I know you're a helicopter person. Whatever. All right. The rest are from me. You'll have to suffer through my trivia now.
Sweet. No fuzzy ones?
Nope. No fuzzy write-ins on this.
We've thrown them with our wackadoo schedule.
Yes. He'll probably send me a message like Tuesday or Wednesday. Here's your trivia. And so they'll get incorporated later.
There you go.
Okay. Which university was founded as the College of New Jersey? It is still a college to this day. It just now goes by a different name. So what is its new name?
I honestly don't know.
Princeton.
Really?
Yes, sir.
College of New Jersey.
College of
I can
New
see why they
Jersey.
changed the name. That's kind of lame.
Yep. So, question number 5. How many calories are stored in 1 pound of body fat?
think it's about 3,500.
You are correct, sir. It is 3,500.
Which is why I argue with people when they crash diet. I'm going to lose 10 pounds this week. I'm like, you're going to eliminate 35,000 calories
Yeah.
this week. That's a tall order.
Yes.
You can lose water weight.
Yeah.
But if you want to get rid of fat, that's why they tell you like a pound a week is a good goal, because you have to get rid of 3,500 calories. That's almost 2 days of your normal eating intake.
Pretty much. Yep. That's a lot. All right. Moving on. Question number 6. For how many years was the first generation of Volkswagen Golf in production?
First gen Golf? I really don't know much about the first gen.
This isn't super common knowledge.
13.
9.
Oh, okay.
You weren't far off.
I was wondering if it was going to be 47,
Well, the original Beetle was still in production up until like 2013 or something, and it was like 67. It was made in Mexico. They made the exact same model.
Really?
Yep.
I was just going to ask if it was made in Lithuania or something like that.
No, Mexico, they've made the same Beetle for years.
It makes sense. It's stupid simple. They're lightweight.
It was cheap. They had all the molds and, the presses to make body parts. Keep pumping them out.
Can you imagine how worn out those tools were?
Oh, yeah.
The tolerances are... Piston
close
comes
enough.
from the factory just like slapping around in there.
I'm sure they were better than that.
I'm not.
All right, question number 7. Where exactly were the Bee Gees band members actually born? This is musical trivia for you, sir.
No, it's Bee Gees trivia.
It's kind of like music.
It's not really.
Music-esque.
I'm going to give that to Ohio because I don't particularly like Ohio.
The Isle of Man.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Great motorcycle racer.
I was going to say, I
My
like it for
favorite.
motorcycle racing, and I'm sorry I don't like you for music now.
Yep.
I doubt there's a lot of other musical history there, like at least popular.
Yeah. Okay, question number 8. Considered to be the oldest pub in the U.S., what year was the White Horse Tavern of Rhode Island opened?
1728.
1673.
Woo! Wow.
Same,
I want to go to there.
same bartender still there.
Tales from the Crypt Keeper. I mean, barkeeper.
Yes.
Okay, we need to go there.
That would be neat. But
It would
Rhode
be.
Island's a long way away from here.
Yeah, but we can make a trip out of it because I've always wanted to go to the USS Constitution Museum. And if it's in town, I'd like to actually see the ship.
Okay.
It's the oldest serving ship we have in the Navy. Actually, fun piece of trivia for you. The USS Constitution is the only ship in our current Navy that has sunk another ship in combat.
Huh.
All of our other ones, they've been involved in conflicts, but it's always been like an aircraft carrier sending off a plane
Right.
or a land-based target. The Constitution is the only ship in service that's actually sunk another ship.
Nice.
That's some fun trivia because all the
That is.
World War II ones have been retired.
Long since gone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll see about that one. So anyway, question number 9. Moving on. Vanilla Ice's song, Ice Ice Baby, samples the bass line from what song?
Under Pressure,
By who?
Queen and David Bowie.
Very good, sir. I figured you'd get that one. So that was good.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Ice Ice Baby?
No, Under Pressure. Don't judge me.
You and your Britney Spears songs you were referencing earlier.
I
Never
have another
know.
game for you next podcast.
No. Okay, question number 10. Last one. And this is not from Fuzzy, but it's about space. How many times did John Glenn circle the Earth in 1962 when he became the first American in orbit?
I feel un-American for admitting I don't know, but I'll go 3 times.
You are correct. Your guess gave good answer.
Boom. I mean, I totally knew that. Ha.
Actually, you didn't do bad this time.
No. I have an odd cross-section of knowledge. I have like a really deep knowledge of some things and absolutely completely oblivious about things I probably should know. So it's always interesting to see where your random trivia kind of cross-sects what I actually know.
You were 50% today.
We both did pretty good.
Not bad. Not bad. Look,
We should probably close the door on this before it gets any worse.
I'm not a complete idiot.
I'm only half an idiot.
Yeah.
My wife was right.
She'll
Well,
say
we want to
something.
say a huge thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you, Watch Communications, for hosting this mess and for our website as well. The offer is still valid if you need website hosting for your group or activity or just for yourself. They can hook you up. Use the code just waste of time, no spaces, and that'll get you 10% off your first month. We also want to say thank you to UTV-doors.com, UTV Engineering, TGM Off-Road, Harrison Power Sports, CW Motorsports, and a big shout out to Spangs Fab for the parts that they sent us that we just did the recent video on, and for tolerating the horrible video I made to introduce your parts to the world.
I love that video. Video's awesome.
I'm like ashamedly proud of it, if that makes any sense.
Go check it out, guys. It's only like a minute and a half long, and you'll chuckle.
Nobody needed it to be any longer than that.
No, the suffering has gone on long enough.
All right, you can find us on the web at our website, eminentperformance.com. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, and you can find the video version on our YouTube channel.
Yep, that'll do it.
And no matter what terrible videos you've made, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Deep